Welcome to Greek for a Week. We are looking at a couple of verses for this week. We are looking at chapter 2, verses 17 and 18 of the book of Philippians. If you notice, these couple of verses here will wrap up this particular paragraph, which is 12 through 18, verses 12 through 18. Again, I've been looking through this paragraph now for the last couple of weeks and entitled it Humility Lived Out Before Others. So again, this is where Paul is providing the you could say the practical theology or the practical application of the theology from verses 5 through 11 of chapter 2. So I think Paul's moving forward here to provide some ways that we can be our lives can demonstrate that humility. Our lives can demonstrate the humility that was demonstrated through Jesus Christ as the supreme example of humility. So let's look at verses 17 here in verse 18. Let me go ahead and begin by translating, as is typical. So, but even if I am poured out as a drink offering upon the sacrifice and the service of your faith, I rejoice, and I rejoice with all of you. And in the same way, you yourselves also rejoice and rejoice with me. So let me walk through a couple of things here. You note here that the very first word of verse 17 is Allah, the conjunction there that's indicating a different situation from verse 16. So usually here you have a contrastive conjunction with Allah, and that's taking place here from verse 16 now down to verse 17. Your kai, even if, or you could also translate it even though. Then Paul provides here his spendamai. Here is a verb that is, again, first person singular, present passive, indicative of spendo. I am being poured out as a drink offering. Again, it's probably referencing there his current experience in prison, that is the fact that it is ongoing and it's being done unto him, if you will. And then you have the epi te thusia kai le turgia. All right, this long prepositional phrase here, what that is it's called a hendiades. And a hendiades simply brings two words together, typically connected with kai. And when it brings those two words together, it forms a single idea here, probably indicating sacrificial service. And then, of course, it's of your faith. So it's the sacrificial service, you could say, on behalf of them. Then you have two more first-person singular present active indicative verbs. You have kairo, I rejoice, and then sug kairo, I rejoice with. And you'll notice here as we move into verse 18, you have de. You have the conjunction de, which I think basically signals a transition. And that transition is really from first person verbs, which basically is referencing Paul. So you have the spendamai here, sug kairo here, and kairo here. So all of those are first person verbs. Then you get down into verse 18 and you have second person verbs, second person plural. You have the kairete and the sug kairete. All right, both of those with the ete ending would indicate a second person plural. Ta alta, here you have the ta alta, which the ta in front of the Demonstrative pronoun alta nominalizes that pronoun. You can now translate that in the same way. And then lastly, you have a second person plural, present active, imperative verbs, where Paul is asking them to rejoice and to rejoice with me. And the me here, the moi, obviously would be Paul. So you have a number of things here that we've walked through. And I think what's interesting here is as we wrap up this particular paragraph, we're going to diagram this next week then. But again, I think it's been helpful just to walk through all of these issues, and Paul specifically gives them a you yourselves emphatic. It's you yourselves can be rejoicing and rejoicing with him. So thanks for listening and thanks for watching this week. We'll see you next week when we diagram verses 12 through 18. Have a great week.